The traditional choice for a wedding venue is a hotel ballroom, but don't be so quick to discount a hotel ballroom just because you don't want that traditional feel. We have Kim Werner, the Senior Catering Sales Manager at the Ritz-Carlton Charlotte, here with us today to chat ballroom weddings and why the ballrooms may be the right fit for you, traditional or not. Kim is a CPCE and former president of Charlotte Nace, who has been transforming ballrooms with the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company for more than 16 years, 10 of which have been at the Ritz-Carlton Charlotte. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here today.
Yeah, we're excited. So tell us real quick, what makes the Ritz-Carlton the place to be? It's a place to have your wedding.
Why would it not be? It's amazing.
I agree with you.
Well, we're located in the heart of the vibrant uptown neighborhood. We're the only hotel in the market that offers 5-star luxury services. And we do have a variety of different event spaces available, depending upon what you're looking for. We have a, quote, traditional ballroom space that can be non-traditional, of course. And then we also have a beautiful atrium space called the Urban Garden. So we have a lot to offer a variety of different brides.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. All the spaces are gorgeous.
Yeah, I love that you have both.
Have fun there,
Yeah. I think that's really cool that you guys have like two very different spaces.
Exactly, and some people really, kind of gravitate more towards a ballroom. Some people gravitate more towards the atrium. Very rarely do I have people that are kind of waffling between the two spaces. They're either ballroom or garden.
Yes, they're two very different styles, but with the same level of service, which is awesome.
Indeed.
Yes, and we're super excited to have you here, even though you are a Clemson fan.
Go Tigers.
Yeah, it's a sore subject for sure.
Listen, friends, just because there was a smackdown in January.
It was rough.
That was a rough one to see.
We couldn't talk to Kim for a couple months.
No.
We're back. It's all good.
And
we're back.
Chloe is a tiny little thing, still barely sleeping, and I still stayed up the rest of the night watching the whole Titanic sink. It was not good.
It's a new season. It's a new season,
That's
friends.
True. That's true.
We just need a couple more missed 2-point conversions.
That's right. We can hope for that, right?
So to get down to real serious business.
Oh, that's not serious.
That's not serious. Real serious businesses, you have one of the best kept secrets in coffee at the Ritz-Carlton at Bar Coco, and you didn't bring any in. And I'm a little upset.
That's because I just want you all to come back and visit me.
That's good. That's a good play.
I like that. I like that. No, that's true. Their coffee.
Yeah.
Ooh, and those desserts.
Oh, man.
Ooh, we just rolled out our new October lineup. There's a chai tea macaroon, a really awesome fall-inspired cupcake, some pumpkin-themed desserts. So,
oh, man.
Ooh, baby.
Everybody get over there right away.
Right? So, see you on Friday for coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Well, cool. Well, we're excited today to talk a little bit more about ballroom spaces. So tell us about, how you can take this traditional ballroom space, if, that's what you're looking at, and make it, a different vibe than maybe what people immediately think of when they think of ballrooms.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great topic. I think there's a lot to say about it. So how much time do we have? Perfect. I've been in the industry for 16 years, so I've seen a lot of ballroom transitions. And you really can take it as traditional as you want, or can go as non-traditional as you want. Really, the best thing about a ballroom is that it's a blank canvas. So it's going to be so much easier to transform a ballroom space than it would be, say, a museum or a restaurant, or something that is not a blank canvas.
Right.
So a ballroom is basically going to be that blank canvas to transform.
Yeah, I agree.
It is hard to move installations in a museum.
It is.
And there's something to be said for a space that's traditionally meant to host events. I feel like it just has those. That's
bones. The kind of tradition that you want, right?
Yes, it has those bones that makes it really easy, and then you can transform it to be something unique to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how big is the ballroom at the Ritz-Carlton, Charlotte?
Just
how many people, I guess?
Oh, okay. 7,000 square feet.
Oh, wow.
People-wise, I would say we would max out dinner and dancing at about 350. But most commonly, the weddings that we see are going to range anywhere from 100 to 250, 300-ish.
So how would you make, in such a big space, how do you make it feel intimate?
That's a great question. So draping,
Yes.
lighting, all of my best friends in event design for sure. But really, yeah, draping, lighting, ceiling treatments. I've literally walked into a ballroom before and thought I was in a tent because there was draping all around the walls, draping on the ceiling. They brought in chandeliers. It didn't even look like the ballroom space.
Oh,
So,
wow.
It's kind of crazy when you see pictures like that transformed. Like maybe you walk in and then you see the end result and it's just
Yeah.
like, how did it become something so different? It's crazy.
Right.
And that's
Right.
so cool because it looks different every weekend for you guys.
It does. It truly does. Whether it's a wedding, a gala, a corporate meeting. I mean, all of these events, you bring in the draping and lighting elements to kind of make it different, but it looks so different each time.
Yeah, I love that. So talking about lighting, what is your recommendation? Like when you're in a ballroom space, like what do you recommend people? I think that's something that's really hard for couples to visualize, that how much a difference lighting can make. So what is your
agree.
recommendation?
Well, first of all, let's just go on the record. I love lighting.
Do it. That's the number one recommendation.
I love lighting. It is something that I talk to all of my couples about, regardless of whether they're in the ballroom or the urban garden. But specifically for a ballroom, lighting can make such a huge impact into the space. So you have your traditional uplights, which, can go just on the walls. If you have draping, you can put it behind the draping. It just adds such dimension and depth into a room. You have illuminated gobos that can be put on the dance floor. You can have, that could be a monogram. It could be a design element, whatever you want it to be. It could be projected up on the ceiling to give it a starry night effect. And then, of course, everybody's favorite lighting element, the market lights.
Yes.
I'm here to tell you, market lights are not just for outdoor tented
yes.
urban garden
Girl after
weddings.
my heart. Yes.
You can bring market lights into any situation, including a traditional ballroom, and it's going to immediately soften the space, kind of give it a more, I think market lights kind of add a fun ambiance, a little bit romantic. So you can definitely bring all of that in.
Yeah, I think market lights, kind of going back to your question, Ryan, help to make it more intimate and just give it that romantic feeling, like you were saying. I like twinkle lights too.
I do love a good twinkle light too.
And chandeliers. You really can't go wrong.
You really can't go wrong. And I mean, as I mentioned before, I've also seen people bring in their own chandelier. We once had a chandelier so big that it couldn't come through the loading dock. It literally had to come through the front doors of the hotel. So we had our front doorman opening all of the doors on the front drive and like 3 guys carrying the chandelier, and it was really a sight to see.
Wow.
Talk about non-traditional.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I could be that person.
I feel like you're about to just flip the paper over and start drawing out a design.
I mean, where's my pen?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you see the vision?
Yes.
So when do hotels always keep it a certain layout, or it sounds like no? It sounds like you can do draper, you can do market lights, you can do chandeliers and all those things. Is that maybe ask it holistically for all hotels and then answer specifically for the Ritz-Carlton?
Yeah. And I would say the answer is definitely no. Of course, there is kind of a traditional component of having a stage, a dance floor, your tables, your cake table, and things like that. So those are the traditional components that you're going to want in your space, obviously. But you can do so much with that. You have different size and shape tables. You have different size and shape dance floors, different colors on your dance floors, different types of staging. And, I think it's a lot of fun when you can kind of move the dance floor around, maybe instead of just your traditional square, maybe you turn it and make it more diamond shape, or, move it up against that wall or that wall. So really, again, going back to a ballroom being a blank canvas, it's a blank layout too. You don't have to worry about any obstructions in your way. You can really utilize the whole space and do the floor plan based upon what you want there.
I think that's a huge portion of it, because a lot of other spaces have usually, like you were saying, installations or columns or things like that. Whereas a ballroom, you don't have to worry about that kind of
Not
thing.
at all. Correct.
You can utilize all of your space and make it really unique to I think that's a big piece of making it, traditional and non-traditional is that floor plan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do any of your couples, do they ever come in and just rent the space and the and like just the table and chairs, in-house stuff, just sort of do like it's kind of a simple layout? Does that ever happen at the Ritz-Carlton?
It does. Yeah.
It does?
It does. I would say for, those clients that are wanting that more traditional feel, or maybe those clients that are a little bit more budget conscious.
Sure.
There's a lot that we have at the hotel that's included
Right, of course.
with our pricing that they can take advantage of. And it will kind of give them the more traditional, like round tables, the square dance floor, all of that.
Perfect. Okay. So
I
you
think that's a
don't-
benefit of a hotel too, is that you
Absolutely.
get those kinds of things,
Oh, absolutely.
which I think is a good segue, right?
It is.
It sounded like a good segue to me.
Look at that.
Ba-dum-bum.
So tell us, like, the kind of equipment. What can people expect, just in general, usually at hotels? What can they expect to, have in-house versus other venues where they might have to bring that kind of stuff in?
Yeah, this is truly the best part of a hotel wedding, truly. We have all of the tables, linens, chairs, staging, dance floor, glassware, flatware, china. And it's not only equipment, we also have all of your staffing. So we're going to have all of your banquet staff, your bartenders, your banquet captains, your event managers, all right there on site, included in that upfront pricing that you're going to get. Going back to kind of the difference between a ballroom space and more of an independent location, you don't have to worry about renting, so many forks and so many glasses. Right. We have all of that included and on site for you.
And I know bustld has done events with the Ritz-Carlton, and they've been home runs. Like, y'all's staff is unbelievable, like above and beyond in kind of every single way you would ever imagine. And I know obviously Sammy with Something Perfect, she's done a number of weddings there as well.
Some perfect weddings.
Some perfect weddings.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Feel free to come on back anytime.
I would love to. No, that's great. So, I mean, I think that's a big benefit, like you mentioned, staff and having all that on site. They're working there the same weekends, and it's not like where you're bringing in a caterer who maybe has worked there or not worked there before, kind of thing.
Right, exactly. And I think, a lot of times when I'm speaking with couples, they're comparing us to maybe some other hotels, but maybe some more of those independent locations. Charlotte does have some great options. So maybe a museum, or maybe, a farm, or, who knows, some kind of non-hotel environment. So when couples look at pricing, hotels are typically going to be on the higher end of your price point. But that is because there is so much included in a hotel environment. And so a lot of my job is educating couples on that fact that, yes, our pricing is higher, but look at everything that you're getting with that pricing compared to just paying a flat rental fee here. You still have to bring all of this stuff in.
Yeah, and it helps with that comparison factor too, because you're
Right.
seeing the full cost. Whereas other places where you're renting an independent venue, you're just seeing the venue fee. So it's harder to get the full look
Right.
at the budget.
It's not apples to apples.
Yeah, which
Right.
we've talked about a few times.
Yep.
Go back and listen to our budget podcast.
Right.
if
And
you
then,
haven't.
and then when clients get into like the nitty gritty of how much is my whole entire wedding going to cost, that's when I say, oh, call Sammy.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what I can tell you.
Exactly. I'm like, that's not my show.
So what about in-house catering and bar? Tell us all the benefits of having that, in-house. Because I would say majority of hotels, that is a factor, correct?
Yep. Most hotels are going to include all of your food and beverage. In fact, most hotels don't allow any outside food or beverage. So, it's all there for you. I would say the best part of that is you're just able to press the easy button, right? The whole point of a hotel wedding
Nice.
is going to be easy, right?
Love it.
Because
That's a throwback.
how
Yeah,
many
it
times do you hear easy in the wedding planning process?
You
Not a
don't.
lot.
You don't.
Except at Bustld.
Except on Bustld.
Except on Bustld, where wedding planning is easy.
Shameless plug.
I like it. So with the hotel, we're going to go ahead and press the easy button. We have all of your equipment, all of your staffing there, but we also have all of your catering right there. So the benefit of that is that if you're in our ballroom space, our kitchen is literally right next door to you. So, if there's any, last minute special request, any dietary restrictions, we're going to be able to take care of those like that in an instant. There's no having to go back to our, kitchen that's, off property somewhere. It's just so easy. And, a lot of times couples can be a little hesitant about not being able to choose their caterer, choose their food. But most hotels will include a tasting as part of the planning process. Couples who get married at the Ritz-Carlton will have a private tasting experience with our executive chef in our design studio. And, of course, cake consultation with our pastry chef from Bar Coco as well.
It's amazing. The tasting you guys do is incredible.
We like it. We like it. We like to make it a very unique, individualized experience. And, it is kind of a fun, big part of the wedding planning process.
Yeah, I think so. When we got married, we were the couple debating between a hotel and an independent venue, and we picked a hotel. So
bravo,
yes, we did. So this topic is near and dear to us.
Yeah, we did our private tasting.
We did our private tasting, and it was great. And that's what made us. We did it beforehand, and then that's what made us pick them.
Yeah,
yeah.
We're big foodies too, so that was really important for us.
Yeah. Which, I mean, you're like you were saying, couples might worry like, oh, I'm not going to pick the venue, the caterer.
Right.
But the food is just incredible, and you can rest easy knowing that with a hotel, I feel like.
Yeah. And
they know what
especially
they're doing.
with the customizations that are available. I mean, we've customized countless menus based around our brides and grooms specific preferences. So if you don't see what you like on the menu already, we can make it happen for you. It's just, figuring out what it is that you want and bringing it in.
And I assume we're not talking rubber chicken and twice baked potato.
Oh, that's my favorite.
So we are.
No, that's what they serve down in Alabama.
Roll Tide. With barbecue sauce.
Obviously. The good barbecue sauce, right?
Yeah. The trick is to not get it on your white dress.
Oh, man.
Yes, no, we are not talking about rubber chicken and twice baked potatoes. We actually have a really elegant plated dinner service. It's something that I talk about with our couples when we're doing tours. We do synchronized service for plated meals. So, we talked about the kitchen being right next to the ballroom space. So all of our food is plated a la minute, which means that literally it's coming out of the kitchen and we have this huge long line in the back of the house with chefs on all sides of the table. And the plate literally starts at one end of the table. They'll put the potato component on, and then it comes down the table and you put the vegetables on, and then you put the protein on, and then you sauce it. And then it's literally hand carried from that moment out to the ballroom where our guests are seated. And our servers will work in a team and place all 10 plates at the same time.
That's awesome.
So your plate is literally freshly plated for you, going right to your seat.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Talk about service.
No kidding.
That's amazing.
So as far as, a big piece of with wedding planning and things like, it's not just the wedding day, it's the whole weekend, right? So what other events can hotels host, for the whole wedding weekend?
Yeah. So most hotels are going to have a variety of different outlets, different restaurant outlets to choose from. And a lot of times those, if there's a restaurant inside the hotel, it can be reserved privately or maybe semi-privately for a rehearsal dinner component. Or what we're seeing a lot of is, maybe an intimate rehearsal dinner for like 20 people, but then there's going to be a big welcome reception after that. So hotels have a lot of different spaces where that can be done. We've seen a lot of those welcome receptions take place in the punch room, kind of great, intimate space for that.
Yeah, that's great for that.
But probably one of my favorite events that you could do at a hotel outside of the wedding itself would be a fond farewell brunch the next day. So most ballrooms do also have, smaller, more intimate banquet style spaces that can be reserved. And doing a brunch the next day, I think, is just a phenomenal way to be able to say goodbye to your guests, thank them for coming. You don't have to worry about saying goodbye to every aunt and uncle and grandma and, best friend twice removed on Saturday night, right?
You can just dance.
Exactly. You can dance.
I just
and
want to
relax.
dance.
Just want to dance.
Enjoy your moment.
Yeah,
and
can you dance at the brunch?
You can totally dance at the brunch. Okay. Thank you to the brunch bill. We can now serve mimosas and Bloody Marys. So that's a win. But no, I think the brunch is just a great way, and it's so easy to do in a hotel environment. Most hotels have a variety of different event spaces that they could utilize for that. And it is just a great way to be able to say goodbye to your friends and family and kind of send them off in style.
I love it.
With maybe some greasy food and
Yes.
Advil.
Absolutely.
I love that about a hotel space, that it's just so all inclusive, and I love having all of your guests be able to come to all these different events without even really having to travel anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the great thing is there's so many different spaces within a hotel that you can have all of these events in the hotel, but never actually in the same space inside the hotel. So it's kind of a unique experience each time.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's huge. So speaking of that, in addition to all of these events, talk about the benefit of having everybody stay on site too.
Yes, remember the easy button?
Yes.
Easy.
Here it is again.
Right. So, a lot of times hotels will offer a reduced rate on a block of rooms for your guests coming in and staying with us with your wedding taking place there. So it's definitely, a great thing to take advantage of. And being in the uptown area, I usually recommend that our couples set up, maybe 2 or 3 different blocks just to offer a variety of different hotel choices, different price points, things like that for their guests. But still, even with a hotel right across the street, they're just right there and can walk over. But nothing is as easy as just, pressing the elevator button.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
That's what we had for our wedding, and it was great because you could stay until the very last moment, and then you just went straight upstairs, and the next morning you went downstairs for brunch, and
Easy.
easy
Yeah.
peasy. Yeah, that easy button. I love that.
Yeah.
So,
So
do couples get upgrades?
that's a great
And free cake. Are you going to ask about free cake too?
I was trying to go there with Bar Coco, but we didn't get a chance to.
It wouldn't be a good podcast if Ryan wasn't talking about Alabama football and cake.
Those are my two.
I mean, I like one of those things.
Yeah.
I didn't know you didn't like cake. That's so weird.
Well played.
Yeah.
Oh yes, upgrades. Totally distracted by
Yes.
football and cake.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think it is very common for a hotel to offer upgrades. I think this is where hotels are going to be a little bit different in what their offerings would be. So for us at the Ritz-Carlton, our brides and grooms will be able to enjoy a complimentary 2-night stay in one of our executive suites.
Oh, wow.
So what that means is that the bride can check in on Friday. I mean, it doesn't have to be the bride. It could be whoever, but typically it would be the bride who would check in on Friday. Then she's able to use the suite all day on the day of the wedding to get ready. So we have a large living room area. There's, in addition to the master bathroom, there's a half bath as well. So if you're getting ready, multiple bathrooms helps a lot.
Yes.
And then we transition that suite into the honeymoon suite on the night of the wedding. And then, what's easier than, as a bride, you have your hair and makeup all done, and all you have to do is take the elevator down to your ballroom. You don't have to worry about traffic. You don't have to worry about weather. You don't have to worry about, birds, droppings, whatever it is. It's just
so
easy.
Yes, it's so easy.
It's just easy. I mean, we've had so many weddings where, so-and-so is running late because they're stuck in traffic somewhere. And you're like, well, I mean, wedding,
Yeah. Well, and traffic's something that you can't always account for. We just went to a wedding, I guess it's been a year, and we sat in traffic. We was in New York. We sat in traffic for, what was
The
it?
Bronx Botanical Gardens.
What would we sit in traffic? An hour and a half?
2 hours.
We were on the bus, so they held everything. But then, everything was running behind because of that.
Which
So
it was like a later ceremony, so like the sun was set. It was it was tight.
it was tight, but it was beautiful. It was
beautiful.
amazing.
It was amazing.
But that's the benefit of coming from
Right.
just downstairs. You don't have to worry about that. No matter what
Correct.
city, especially being like in the center of a city, you don't have to worry about traffic if you're coming from, outskirts or anything like that.
And that's just another good point for ballrooms in general is that you don't have to worry about the weather, right? There's no backup plan. There's no like, oh my gosh, the forecast says 30% chance of rain. I have to talk to this bride about moving her beautiful outdoor ceremony to an inside location.
Which is like the worst.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
It's
The
the
planner's
worst.
job.
It's the worst. I used to work at a resort property for Ritz-Carlton before coming here, and I dreaded that moment because no bride who's planning on that wants to hear that. So great news in the ballroom. Also in the urban garden. It's always great weather, always climate controlled.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about hurricanes or anything crazy like that.
Or 100-degree weather in the middle of
Right.
October.
The AC is pumping.
Yeah,
Yes.
even though the hurricane hit when
Yeah.
we got married, our wedding still
Our
went on.
wedding still went on.
See? There
Yeah.
you go.
And our air conditioning mostly worked.
It was ish.
It was in and out, but
You know
it was
what
an
though?
extreme circumstance.
It was still on.
and it was
though.
not at a Ritz-Carlton.
It was not.
Oh man. All right, back to the original topic.
So the answer is yes. Couples get all the upgrades.
Yes.
Correct. Yes is the answer.
What other amenities should couples think about that are useful not only to just them, but to their guests as well throughout the weekend?
Yeah, of course. So, a lot of times weddings means families coming in with kids. So most hotels are going to have great pool options, which is always a fun pastime for them. Some hotels will have full service spas, also a great activity, even for the bride and groom to enjoy a massage the day after the wedding, or manicures and
sounds nice.
pedicures,
Yeah, it does sound
right?
nice, yeah.
Exactly, before the wedding. So, look for things that have spas. Some of the more resort style properties could have golf or outdoor activities. In Charlotte, our concierge at the Ritz, we could put together a walking tour of all of the cultural spots and things like that.
That's a really good point. Like most hotels have some sort of concierge,
Right.
Which is a great resource for guests if they're
Absolutely.
coming in from out of town. So I love that.
Absolutely.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and then of course you have all of the food and beverage options available too.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I feel like most hotels have like a bar of some sort, so that's a good meetup place for people.
We have two.
Ooh.
I know. Get excited.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And like you mentioned, kind of that after party, that's a good place for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So, and I'm glad you mentioned the after party because a lot of times hotels will have lobby areas that are a great place to congregate after the wedding. And we actually offer live jazz music in our lobby lounge area, and we've seen many, many, many couples end their night in style at the lobby lounge in the Ritz-Carlton.
We've attended that Saturday evening jazz night pre-baby
Yeah, there it is.
a
It's
couple
been a
of times.
while.
Get a babysitter; she'll be fine.
We're not nearly as cool as we used to be.
No.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that definitely happens.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
No, I think that's great. We'll ask your favorite closing question then, Ryan.
Oh, what's your favorite closing?
So besides Bustld, tell us where our listeners can find you, and then also I'll start with that actually. So besides Bustld, where can your couples find you?
So our website is going to be a great resource. Ritz-Carlton.com/Charlotte will take you right to our homepage there. You can find information about the hotel, about all of our different food and beverage outlets, the spa. You can learn more about weddings and see our wedding packages there. You can learn more about Bar Coco. So it's a great place to get a lot of information too. We also have an Instagram handle, Ritz-Carlton Charlotte, but you'll definitely find the majority of our information on our website.
Perfect.
And then as a recap for our couples and they walk away, as far as if they want to do a hotel ballroom or not, like what are some last words you would say or suggest about doing a ballroom wedding?
Just do it.
Just do it. Easy button.
Easy button. Life is so much easier. And I mean, Sammy, what are your thoughts as a wedding planner about
Life
that?
is so much easier. So much easier. Everything is just right there in
Right there.
one spot, and you don't have to worry. Things just go a lot smoother.
That's all.
That's it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Go ahead.
No, you got it.
We're both going to thank you at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Yes,
for
thank
coming
you.
today. We appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's
Yes.
such an honor to be on my very first podcast.
Yes, well, you did a great job. Thanks
Yeah,
for
you did
coming.
an awesome job.